Hey, it's Coach Tori, and I am here live in person on video. Well, I guess I'm always live in person, but I am here on video today because, well, not only am I trying to give this whole video realm of things a try, but there are things I actually want to show you. So, we are going to be going through some training plans in the next couple of weeks. I've put a few together that I would like to actually share with everybody. And I know that sometimes I'm directing you to my website and other places to find things. So figure now I'll give you another place to find things on video. So we are going to go through today. It's just going to be an intro to 5K. So kind of like couch to 5K, 0 to 5K kind of thing. For me, it's 0 to 30 minutes because this is all going to be time-based. So you may not be able to complete a 5K in 30 minutes by the end of this, but you'll be able to run a full 30 minutes. So I think a lot of them actually have adjusted to that point too. But so here we are putting together running plans for you in person. As a lot of you know, especially if you listen to the podcast, that I also am a one-on-one running coach, private running coach. So if you want things that are more customized, individualized, that would be where you'd find those things. This is more of just like general approach, because I also just love talking about running. So find more ways to do that. So let's check out the first one. Okay. All right. So I'm sure as time goes on, I will get better with technology and this will be way fancier, but this is the first time we're trying it out. So keep it simple with a simple running plan. So like I said, this is going to be 0 to 5K. So that's 5,000 meters, 3.1 miles. In parentheses, it is, or 30 minutes of running, because that is really what we're building up to. I'm sure if you are running a 5K, if you have a specific 5K that you are planning for, and you use this to get to your 30 minutes and you're running at like a 32-minute pace, I think that you'll be able to just keep going and complete it. But if you're running at like 40, 45-minute pace or something like that, this is really not going to get you super ready for it. So just to put a little bit of perspective on that. So what you need to get started, because everybody likes to know what they need to get started, to do any kind of plan, especially with goals. Anybody who knows me, either in person from the podcast or as a coach, you know that I like to keep it really simple. I think we as runners, lots of people, we get really into the weeds. There is so much technology out there. There's so much resources, access, everything that really can get us a little bit tripped up. And really the way I think about it is like, my 1-year-old was running, well, he's not a 1-year-old anymore, but he started running when he was 1 because he's a person, he's up, he wants to move, get there fast, you're running, right? So we're able to run at an early age. Most of us, we are born to run, to steal from Christopher McDougall there. But really, we don't need it to be super complicated, right? We are just moving our bodies faster. So what we need, like I say, getting into the weeds, and here I am getting into the weeds, explaining why we don't need to do that. Running shoes. I do think running shoes are important, but that doesn't mean the same running shoes for everybody. I see all the time people asking, what do you recommend for running shoes? Go to a running store, have someone who does this for a living tell you what kind of running shoes that you need, because everyone's a little different. Their goals are different. The way they move is different. Their feet are different. And as you run, your feet are probably going to change too, especially if you're a new runner. But to get you a pair of running shoes, I have been guilty of running in shoes that are not running shoes, but I do not recommend, especially as you're getting started, because you really do want to set yourself up for success. So you don't want to be causing some unnecessary discomfort just by wearing the wrong shoes. You will need a watch, and I'm not saying you need to go buy the Garmin Fenix, whatever, that's $700. I'm saying you need something that will tell time in a stopwatch fashion. So even like a stopwatch, clicky stopwatch from back in the day, because I don't feel like people use them anymore. Simple stopwatch, Timex kind of thing. You don't need a GPS watch for this. Really, I'm going to probably make it that you don't need a GPS watch for almost anything that we're doing, especially when we're talking about the 5K workouts and stuff. Activewear, same thing with the running shoes. You got to be comfortable. You got to dress for the weather, because you are going to have to get out there with some consistency. So there's always room for adjustments, but if it's raining, you're going to want some rain gear to be able to get out there if you don't have a treadmill, right? and you need a goal. So besides just my goal is to finish the 5K, that's probably fine, right? But if you have something more specific, if you have a specific goal 5K you want to run, if you say, I want to be able to finish my 5K in the 30 minutes that I'm practicing for here, if I want to be able to run with this specific person, if I want to run in this specific race, but you need to have a reason why you're doing it, right? I think we talk about that anytime we're talking about motivation. And I think it's a big thing now, like, what is your why? Everybody loves to say that. So those are what you need to get started. Now we're ready. All right, day one. I haven't been running. I've been sitting, work, recovering from something, anything like that. Warm up. So anybody who's seen my warm up video or heard me talk about warm-ups, warming up is super important, not just for our body, but our minds. So we are warming up our body. We're getting the blood pumping, moving around. You're loosening up those muscles. I know now more than ever, I hear a bunch of creaks and things as I am warming up. I did not used to, but I do have to get some of that stuff out. And as time goes on, if you're getting sore from things too, warming up helps you alleviate that so that you are then able to actually move without being like, oh, everything really hurts. And it helps get our muscles ready to do work. So we're not going to get as many instances of like weird cramps, pulls, things like that. And also our mind. I think in my podcast episode where I talk with the Stride Shop, they mention, and also when I talk with Beth Baker too, mention that our brains, when we're running, are telling us fight or flight, right? Why are we running? What are we running from? Even if I know I'm going out here for a run, my brain, the first thing is like, what are we doing, right? A lot of people will get that initial heart rate spike. I see people all the time asking like, why does my heart rate go up? And then eventually it does stabilize. It's probably because you're not warming up. So you are getting that spike. So you do want to have your brain thinking, I am exercising for a reason. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm not running from something or something like that. So warm-up's important. Now, what does a warm-up look like? It can look like anything. I have a specific warm-up routine that I like to do before I do hard work. And it's something I've developed over the years. I like doing it. I know there's lots of people who have a regimented routine, but warm-up could look like just walking for a little bit. 5 minutes of walking. It could be, I've done ones where it's like a couple squats, couple push-ups, couple sit-ups, just moving that way. It can be jumping jacks. It could be a jump rope. It could be on your bike. It could just be running. Or it could be like dynamic stretches and stuff like that. I now have glute activation problems. I don't know if it's problems, but my glutes aren't working hard when I'm running now. So I do the Myrtle routine before I get going. So you can kind of figure it out. Again, if you don't know, you can always ask. And then we are doing 10 times run a minute, walk 2 minutes. And so when I'm saying run a minute, I'm not saying sprint a minute. I'm not saying run fast, run hard a minute. I'm saying doing the running motion for a minute. So that can be a shuffle, right? We know running is when there is that moment where 2 feet are off the ground, right? Walking, you always have contact with the ground. Running, you got those flying feet. So that's what you want to be doing. And it does not have to be fast. It can even be the same speed as your walk. If you're looking at a GPS watch, you could be going the same pace, but trying to get that running motion for the minute, walking 2, stretching and cooling down. Again, I think I also talked about on the Stride Shop episode, cool down could also just be a walk. It could be sitting on the bike for a little bit. It could be a tiny jog. It could be doing a little bit of yoga. So just something that is now transitioning us out. Your brain is now thinking, okay, I am done my workout. I'm going to start doing other things. You're bringing your heart rate back down. You're probably going to start to sweat a little bit because you are going back and forth from that running. Actually, you're probably sweating the whole time, but you know what I mean? So then you're stretching just to make sure, again, there's lots of science on like, we don't really need to static stretch and blah, blah, blah. But I like to do that because then you're also thinking about what you just did, reflecting a little bit, and also just, getting ready to do the next thing in your day. So that's day 1. Day 2 is rest. Yay. Okay. So what does rest look like? Rest is rest. So that is not going on the bike. That is not swimming. That is not doing something else. That's trying to rest. So you should not be adding other things on rest days. I know people who have very active jobs are not always able to rest, but trying to just be mindful of, I'm not actively going to do some kind of extra physical activity, even trying to get a little more sleep if you can, or sit on your couch for a little bit before you go to bed, something like that. So rest is supposed to mean rest because we are trying to recover during rest. Day 3, warm up again. Just like I said, it can be whatever works for you. And I'm sure throughout this process, you are going to figure out a warm up routine that you like. And it's going to look really redundant. 10 times, run a minute, walk 2 minutes. So again, this is going to be time consuming because that is going to be 30 minutes of just your running, walking, plus your warm up and your cool down. So I get that can feel really daunting and long. Find some music you like, find a podcast you like. This is where the watch comes in. Obviously, you have your 1 minute, 2 minutes. I know a lot of people get interval timers and things like that. If you feel the need to get something that may help you so you don't have to keep checking, I'm always a person who has the stopwatch. I think it's a stopwatch on my phone going when I'm doing any kind of intervals, and I'm always just checking. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think it messes me up or anything, but I know some people want something that's going to always ding in their ears or something like that. So get some kind of interval timer and you're good to go. Day 4 is rest. I know this plan is going to look kind of boring, but I promise it does get a little more fun. And once you get to this 30 minutes, like this is the base building phase. So for people who've trained for longer things, I go through them too, go through a base building period. And it can seem kind of boring and redundant, but that is how we're going to build up to be able to do more fun workouts, interesting things without hurting ourselves. So it really is important to get this stuff started so that you are able to do more. Day 5, warm up again, then 12 times, your 1 minute of running, 2 minutes of walking, cool down. So it's going to feel a little longer. I know it's not that much longer, but you are adding 6 minutes to your workout. You're adding 2 extra running intervals. Again, those runs can be really slow. It can be a shuffle. You do just want to change the stimulus from the walking because I know for me, it is really different. If I'm walking versus running, my heart rate's different. My body feels different. So I could probably walk a marathon today and it would be tiring, but it wouldn't be anywhere near if I was running a marathon. So really trying to have those differences, even if the pace actually is very similar or the same. And trying to be consistent throughout those. So trying not to sprint your first 2 of your run intervals. And then the next ones you're really like struggling through. This is going to help you find some way to have consistent pacing. So holding back on those first ones so that your first one and your last one can be pretty similar. Optional cross training day. So what does cross training mean? I know when I hear cross training, I think of some very specific things, but that doesn't always mean that is what everyone else thinks or what everyone else needs. So cross training really is you are doing something different than what the repetitive motions of whatever we're doing. So for running, as we know, that is a very repetitive thing. This comes up in my episode with Coach T, my second episode with her. We talk about cross training and strength training. I think it's strength training with Coach T is the episode. So check that out. She talks all about it, but cross training is going to be something that is not, I also have a typo in here, optional cross training is not running, and it's not going to be replicating running. So I wouldn't say walking is going to be cross training for this because we are still doing that repetitive pounding back and forth kind of motion. I would say biking works, even though it is a lot of the same kind of thing. I feel like biking works a whole different group of muscles and feels very different. So talking biking, rowing, for people who have pools or access to a pool, swimming is always a great one. This could be yoga, this could be stretching, this could be at different points in your training. This could be doing some strength stuff. And this is optional. So depending on how you feel, do something. If you're like itching to get a little bit of movement, go for it. If you're feeling a little sore, take this as a stretching day or a resting day. But these are optional. And I get that can be hard, especially if you're going to be subscribing to a plan and you're like, okay, everything is very spelled out and regimented. And now I'm being offered options. That's not very, there's not 2 things to choose from. It's infinite things. I know that can be hard, but I think everybody can figure that out. And then rest. So this could be 2 rest days in a row, or maybe it is biking and a rest day. Day 8. So this is week 2. We are doing warm up and then 10 times running for a minute, walking for a minute, and then cooling down. So this will be shorter than your workouts, your run workouts from last week, but you are getting less rest. So it is going to feel a little different. Those running 1 minute might feel a little more challenging, especially as you go through your 20 minutes of run walk, just because you aren't walking as much and you're going back to the running quicker. So that is going to feel a little different. And then you're resting again. So there's a lot of rest in this. So what I also like about this plan is it does help you gradually prepare to be able to do your 5K or 30 minutes of running, but also you're not immediately jumping into changing your life and your plan. I'm sure anybody who's trained for something bigger or something, I don't want to say more serious, but something different that takes more time commitment, that can really change a lot of things and can be harder when you're trying to start something. So when you're starting a new habit, like introducing running, it's not great to be like, okay, now I run every day at this time. Because that's now changing your whole life and your whole routine. So trying to keep it so there is some balance was all I was trying to say. Day 10, warm up 12 times, run a minute, walk a minute, stretch and cool down. So you're adding a little bit of time from 2 days ago's routine. It is going to possibly feel a little more challenging still because you are also still doing the running a minute, walking a minute. So your rest is reduced by half, but we're not really increasing your running from what you had already done the week prior. So we're really not changing that, but you are just getting used to not having as much time to recover. So that's going to help us obviously string those intervals together, because then we will be able to stretch our running longer and having less rest. So we're able to then run a complete 30 minutes. Optional, there we go. I got it right this time. Optional cross training day. So again, this could be biking, swimming, rowing, yoga, strength, Pilates, horseback riding. If you're a horseback rider, if you're not, I wouldn't recommend just deciding to start riding horses, something of that nature, or nothing. Or if you are a weightlifter already, then this could be a weight day. I know sometimes when people switch from weightlifting to doing something else, they really miss, that stimulus of the heavy pulls and stuff. So feel free to do some of that if you are already someone who lifts weights. Day 12, warm up 15 times, run a minute, walk a minute, stretch and cool down. So this might feel like a lot more because you are doing more running than we had done previously. Plus we are still having that shorter rest. So we're doing equal work to rest ratio. It's not even really rest, but run to recovery. So this may be a little bit of a tough day, but as you guessed, oh no, I was about to say there's rest next. It's another optional cross training day. So again, depending on how you feel, do some work here. And again, it doesn't have to be like, okay, I need to do 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes of cross training. This could be just going and I want to sit on my bike for 10 minutes and move around a little bit. Or I want to just jump in the pool and do some pool running, pool walking, something like that. So it could be a lot of things. It doesn't have to be, super strict. It could just be going out and seeing how you feel too. And here we go. This was the rest that I was thinking we already had. So again, really focusing on resting, taking a break, feeling how you feel too, like really doing some body scans, like how is my body holding up? Are the shoes I picked really the right shoes? Are my feet feeling good? Do they need a little more stretching? Do they need some strengthening? My shins feeling good? Because again, that can be something that we struggle with when we just start adding running to a routine is shin splints, shin pain. And those are things, if you have questions on how to avoid that or get rid of that, because it can creep up on us pretty quick, feel free to send me a message. I got you on that one. Knees, same thing. Check on those knees, check on your IT bands, your hips, all that stuff, because there are some things, especially as we are starting out running, just some imbalances or weak muscles that we don't usually work, that could be causing some problems that can be pretty easily remediated. Day 15, warm up 10 times, run 2 minutes, walk a minute, stretch and cool down. So here we are finally increasing the time that we are running together. So the 2 minutes, it might feel like a lot more running, but we are only going from our last run walk day where we had our 15 times the run a minute, walk a minute. So that was 15 minutes of running. Now this is going to be 20 minutes of the actual running part. So we are increasing, but we're not really increasing a huge amount. But it may feel tough because we did just double the amount of time that we are running between our walk breaks. So again, focusing on trying to be consistent, finding something that works for you, a slower pace to start. And again, if you start slow and you get to the end of this workout and you're like, wow, I'm feeling great, I should have gone faster, totally fine, because you have plenty of time to do so. You don't want to be starting really fast and then really struggling through your workout, because not only is that like not very productive, it can be demoralizing, but also you can lead to some injuries if you are really kind of beating up your body that way. Optional cross training day. At this point, you know what that means. Day 17, warming up 10 times, run 2 minutes, walk 30 seconds. Here we are. So rest is getting, well, recovery is getting even smaller. So we are doing that 2 minutes of running, which we have previously done. So we know how that feels, but our rest walk is going to be cut in half. So our workout total time is shorter. So you think about that way, you have less time on your legs, but you are getting less time between your runs. So this may feel tough. It may also actually just, and I should probably stop saying it may feel tough because I'm going to be getting in your head about it, but don't let it get in your head, right? Don't be thinking, oh my God, it's only 30 seconds, watching the clock, it's only 30 seconds. Just take a deep breath. 30 seconds can actually feel like a long time. And know that you can do it, right? You can shuffle through your run as slow as you need to. Just keep moving, and I think you'll be all right. It will feel short. It will feel challenging for a lot of people, but you are getting that break. You are getting time to breathe. You're only going to be moving for 20 some minutes, 25 minutes, I think. So it isn't the end of the world because you've already been moving for longer than that. So you got this one. And then you get rest. So the next day you get to totally take a break. Focusing on nutrition, hydration, electrolytes, all that stuff, sleep, things that I didn't actually bring up when I said what you need to get started. I don't think people need to get really invested in a nutrition plan if you've already been eating healthy, if you've been feeling good. I don't think you need to start being like, well, now I need to do this and this and this. Eventually there probably are things fueling wise that you will need to change as you continue to run longer runs and things like that. But I don't think a lot needs to change with this if you've already been eating healthy and what feels good to you. Remembering to hydrate though, that's something I think a lot of us can forget. Sleeping, again, you are increasing your physical activity. So trying to make sure you get a lot of rest. I know it's not always avoidable not to, but being mindful of that, because you don't want to be adding something that you hopefully end up enjoying and then starting to tear your body down because you weren't taking care of things on the other end. Day 19, warm up 8 times, run 3 minutes, walk a minute. So this was my attempt of trying to keep things a little fun. So with this, and you'll see this is a little different from some of the other routines that get you from 0 to 30 minutes of running. I try to mix up the number of intervals while also playing with what your run walk looks like. So this is only 8 times, but you are running for 3 minutes. So you're increasing your run, but your walk is also increasing from the last time we did a walk run interval. So you're back to your 1 minute rest, which we had done a bunch. So that should feel pretty comfortable. But you are doing your 3 minutes of running, but you're only doing 8 times. So I think the increase with that combined with the decrease in the number of intervals, you're really only changing the number of your running to 24 minutes now, which is totally doable, right? You got this. But the 8 can also be a little bit motivating because you're used to doing 10 minutes, even though this is going to be longer. not 10 minutes, 10 times. So you are doing less of those reps. So it may feel like it's breezing by. And then your optional cross training day. Just one thing I want to say about that. Don't feel like you have to be committed to one kind of cross training every time cross training day comes up, but B, each time your optional cross training day comes up, treat it like it's something new. So evaluate how you feel, decide what you want to do if you want to do it. So don't think every time optional cross training comes up, I did it the first time, I have to always do cross training. If you're feeling like you need more rest, take a rest day. If you're feeling like you want to do something different, do something different. So this is really just allowing you to do some kind of movement that you like or not. Day 21, warm up, run 5 minutes, rest 3 minutes, run 5 minutes, cool down. So here we are, something totally different. We are stringing together 5-minute periods of running, but you are getting a rest 3 minutes. So here it says rest 3 minutes. It does not say walk 3 minutes, which means you could either walk 3 minutes or you can stand and rest. You could do a little bit of both. But really we're just looking at 5 minutes of running, resting, 5 minutes of running again. For this, trying to have your first 5 minutes of running and your second 5 minutes of running feel pretty similar. So do not sprint your first 5 minutes and then have to really dog your last 5 minutes. Try to have some kind of consistent pacing that you're able to keep throughout both. Because this is the first time we've been running for 5 minutes total, it may feel harder. You may be running the first 3 minutes great and start to slow down a little bit. Fine, don't panic. We haven't practiced it yet, so not a big deal, especially if you have that in your first 5 minute increment. For your next 5 minutes, maybe keep that into account and start a little slower to see if you can hold that pace. Day 22, warm up 8 times, run 3 minute, walk a minute. So here we are with our first back-to-back run days. You'll be able to do it, no problem. This is also one that we've already done. So you're doing something new, but it has a little bit less running than you've been doing. So you only have that 10 minutes of running, right? And then here you have your 24 minutes of running again. But we already had done this before, so you know how that's going to feel. You can pace it. And just because you did it before does not mean you need to run the same pace as you did last time. So if you're feeling a little tired from running the day prior, not a problem. Run your 3 minute intervals a little slower. And here you get your rest day. Day 24. So here's another fun one. Try to switch it up, keep it interesting. I've always been a fan of ladder workouts. No matter which direction they go, I think it is fun. So here you have your warm up, your run 5 minutes, walk 2 minutes, run 4 minutes, walk 2 minutes, run 3 minutes, walk 2 minutes. So you are only running for, what is this, 12 minutes of running? Am I able to do math right? Yes. You get your 12 minutes of running, but you are doing something a little different. You have those larger chunks. You have your 2 minutes of walking in between each. So I think it could be pretty fun. If you're feeling ambitious, maybe play around with your speed just a little bit. So try to run your 5 minutes a little slower than you run your 4 minutes. Then your 3 minutes can be faster than that. So maybe just, I mean, if for nothing else, you get to feel out what pacing feels like and how to adjust those things yourself, which could be kind of fun. So I would give that a try. If you don't feel like doing that, then just doing each one as consistently as possible, or really just doing it however you feel. Cross training optional. There you go. And warm up 10 times, run 3 minutes, walk a minute. So if you notice, here you are getting your 30 minutes of running in. So you have a 40-minute workout, but you are running for 30 minutes of it. But you're doing it in a super manageable chunks. So you're doing your running of 3 minutes, you get your walk break, and you're doing that for 10 times. So this is really getting you ready to do your 30 minutes continuous, which you don't have to do it continuously. We'll talk about when we get to that day though. And then your next day, you get your 10 minutes of running, walk 3 minutes, 10 minutes of running again. So this might feel a little tough because 10 minutes is the longest amount of time we've run consecutively, but you are super prepared to run for 20 minutes total because you've been doing more than that in your run walk intervals. So again, just like when we had the run 5 minutes, walk, whatever it was, and run 5 minutes again, try to have them be consistent. Again, if you feel like you didn't really run a great pace or consistent pace for your first 10-minute chunk, for your next 10-minute chunk, see if you can adjust some things. Because it also is really just going to help with your mental side of things too, is knowing how to control your body and being able to solve those problems yourself. So I think that can be super helpful too. So yeah, so this one's kind of straightforward, should be fun. And after this, you get your optional cross training day. I would probably say rest, honestly, and kind of dumb that I said that because I was the one that put optional cross training on this day. But you are just doing 2 back-to-back workouts. That could be a little tough. So maybe think about really giving this a rest day, and then you get your rest day and then go run your 5K. So like I said, this is a little different than other 0 to 5K or 0 to 30 minutes of running or couch to 5K, whatever it's called, that I've seen in the past. But why would I recreate something that's already out there? Because you can just type into Google real quick, couch to 5K, 0 to 5K, and you're going to find those plans. So wanted to offer something a little different. Yeah, so still increases mileage at a manageable rate, or not mileage, but time percentage of running at a manageable rate. But yeah, I think this would be good to get you to be able to complete a 5K or complete 30 minutes of running. If you are not ready to, once you've gotten to day 30, to run 30 minutes consecutively, also totally fine, because you can still complete your 5K or complete your 30 minutes while taking walks in between. There's plenty of people who do marathons, do ultra races, run walking. So that still counts as a complete for sure. You should still be super excited about that. But you should also feel like you're prepared to be able to finish it however you see fit. And also keeping in mind that like 30 days is really short amount of time to be completely changing from 0 to doing something different, right? So I did it in 30 days just because that's what a lot of plans I've seen do. And just because we can. But if you are looking to do it in a longer time frame, you can stretch these things out. You can make smaller increments. You can message me with any questions. I'm always happy to help new runners. So good luck going from your 0 to 30 minutes. All right, so that was the 0 to 30 minutes or 0 to 5K plan that I put together. Like I said, it is a little different from other ones we've seen, but why would I make something that's already out there? Doesn't really seem like good use of my time or yours. So hopefully you enjoyed that training plan. For more info on anything running, check out the Raising Runners podcast. For private in-person coaching, you'll be able to click my link to sign up for that. It's month to month or 6 months or a year, all that stuff. I have a bunch of discount codes always going on, so feel free to message me if you need any help. I say message me like you know where to find me. My email is in the notes.